Hello students. In this session I am going to share with you another set of protocols which is used at the application layer. The protocol about which I am going to share in this session, this starts with simple mail transfer protocol, that is abbreviated as SMTP. So you can see that as the name itself is revealing that what can be the purpose of this protocol, it is the simple mail transfer protocol, and therefore it is concerned with the mail, electronic mail, email. So we can say that this is a protocol which is used for basically mailing purpose, that is for transferring the mails to the remote locations. So the objective is basically here to facilitate the process of email. We have this protocol, and therefore we can understand that this protocol is definitely one of the most important and most popular kind of the protocol at the application layer. So accordingly we can see that this is a TCP/IP protocol, means this protocol belongs to the class of TCP/IP protocol suite or standard. That supports electronic mail on the internet. So this is the TCP/IP protocol that supports electronic mail or facilitates the electronic mail on the internet, right? So with this, the objective of this protocol becomes clear, and it is a TCP/IP based client server protocol. So now let us see about its basic design, the basic design of this protocol. It can be seen that we have in this protocol we have two components or two sides, that is the client side and the server side. It's a client server protocol. So we have one side known as the SMTP client, and the other side is known as the SMTP server, and these are connected by means of the internet, that is basically a TCP/IP network. Right? So in this it can be seen that on both the sides there are the users. We have the user on the client side and the user on the server side, between which the email communication is being done. So this becomes the kind of the broad architecture of the SMTP. Now we can see, to explore this architecture further, it can be seen that breaking down both the SMTP client and SMTP server into two components. Fine. That means SMTP client as well as the server, these can be actually broken down into two parts or two components. What are these components? It can be seen. One component is called the user agent, abbreviated as UA, and the other one is the mail transfer agent, abbreviated as MTA. Right, so we have these two components at both the ends, that is UA and the MTA. Fine. So with this kind of the breaking down, we can further see that the same architecture which we have seen is shown here by further having these two components, UA and MTA. We can see, for example, in this TCP/IP network, where we are showing in this that both the ends are the TCP/IP supported ends or TCP/IP compatible ends. So in that we can see that this, here we can see that this much was the MTA client, which has been further broken down into two parts as discussed, that is the UA, user agent, and the MTA, that is the mail transfer agent. So we can see here that this client MTA client, this SMTP client has been broken down into two parts. One is called the user agent and the other one is called the mail transfer agent. So we have UA and MTA client. And similarly on the server side, we can see the SMTP server has been shown here to be having these two components or two parts, that is the UA is the one and the second one is the MTA server. So we have these two parts, UA and MTA. Fine. So this is what has been shown over here, and this we can see that on both the sides there are the users as usual for email communication. User A on the client side say and user B on the server side. Fine. So now let us see what actually this UA and MTA means, for what purpose they are. The role of UA can be seen. The UA, the name user agent, is actually the basic purpose of this is to provide a user friendly interface to the users for the purpose of email communication. Right, so this UA or user agent is basically the component which facilitates the users to access the system in a user friendly manner. So this user agent basically provides, we can say, a user interface for sending the mails as well as for receiving the mails. whole of this communication we can say is the bidirectional communication. Fine, so this was about the user agent. And then the second component, that is the MTA or mail transfer agent. We can see what is the mail transfer agent. As the name suggests, it is this agent or component is basically responsible for transferring the mails. Right, so whatever mail has come from the user, that mail is transferred by means of the MTA, that is the mail transfer agent. So on this side, it will be responsible for sending the mail to the another side, right? So this mail transfer agent is basically responsible for transferring the mails. So this diagram we have shown basically for the purpose of TCP/IP to TCP/IP communication. That is, when both the sides, the client side as well as the server side, both the sides are TCP/IP compatible systems. Fine. Now further we can see that it is, whereas in most of the email communications this architecture will work, in some of the communications where both the sides are not necessarily TCP/IP compatible, right, and therefore there will be a change in the architecture. There will be a slight change in the architecture for electronic mail. What it can be seen with the help of this diagram. The TCP/IP to non-TCP/IP. This diagram is showing the architecture of email communication, or say SMTP, for having a communication between the TCP/IP and non-TCP/IP networks. So in this diagram it can be seen that we have basically on this side we are seeing the TCP/IP network, right, whereas on this side we are seeing a non-TCP/IP network, which may be some private network, which is not necessarily TCP/IP based network. So in this diagram it can be seen that this part is same as what we have discussed earlier: user A, UA, MTA client, MTA, and the internet. Now on this side what we find is there is a non-TCP/IP network, and for that it can be seen that we have, say, this private network, this is the internet. So to basically have a kind of compatibility, we have in between the MTA mail gateway. It is the MTA mail gateway. This mail gateway, MTA mail gateway, this component is basically responsible for providing a kind of compatibility between these two networks, say internet and the private network. Fine, the required kind of the transformations will take place so that they are in sync for communication. And then further it can be seen that for this private network there may be a mail system, some separate kind of the mail system, through which the user B in this case will interact, right? This mail system may not be having the same architecture as we have seen here in the case of the UA and MTA. It may be something different. So we can see that this kind of the architecture takes place in case of the TCP/IP to non-TCP/IP email communication. Fine. So this has given us a basic idea about the SMTP protocol. Now we can see that the same thing as we have discussed, that is, what is a user agent. This user agent or UA is, you can see once again, it is a program used to send and receive the mail. Basically for sending and receiving the mail. For example, MH, Berkeley Mail, Zmail, etc. And nowadays as we have the Gmail, Rediff Mail, etc. These are the various user agents. Fine. So we have seen basically about the basic architecture of the SMTP. Also, you can recall that what are the kinds of the email addresses? What is the basic format of the email addresses? This is definitely known to everybody. We can just have a look on this. What is the format of the email address? This can be seen that the typical format is like this. We have the local part @ domain name. Right. So we have this typical format of the email address. Everybody is aware. We can see this. What this local part means is that it is the address of the mailbox on the local site. It is the address of the mailbox on the local site. Right. So in this, it is the address of the mailbox on the local site. Fine. And this domain name is the domain name of the destination. Fine. Domain name of the destination. Say for example, the address of the mailbox is say something like XYZ, and this domain name is for example gmail.com. So this becomes xyz@gmail.com. Typically the address. Fine. So this has given us an idea about the basic SMTP protocol. So in this session we close over here, and in the next session we shall see few other protocols. Thank you.